Hi everybody. The other day I showed you a quick look at my solar panel and solar charge controller for the dump trailer. Today I'm going to redo all the connectors that are not quite right, and that was simply because I didn't have the proper ring connectors in stock. So I decided that I would just take the bare wire and put it into the charge controller. And it's designed for that, but it really doesn't work that well. And I don't like doing it that way. I would rather use a ring connector. And for those of you that don't know what a ring connector is, basically it's that. And these come in different sizes. You order them by what gauge wire they take and what size screw or stud goes through the hole. And I also think I'm going to mount this, since I'm going to have all the wiring 100%, then it's mounted, not flopping around inside the box here. All right, safety first. I've disconnected the solar panel plugs. They are off. Okay, I apologize. My microphone battery died. So what I'm explaining here is that before you do anything, you need to disconnect the battery. And what I do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. The reason that I disconnect the negative battery terminal is because if, while you're using your wrench to undo the bolt, if you touch another piece of metal, you're already at ground, so it's not going to do anything. If you disconnect the positive side first, you run the risk of shorting out your wrench to ground, which will make a lot of fireworks, and it's not a good thing. So here I'm just disconnecting the bolt off the negative side of the battery terminal. So here we're just pulling off all of the wires that are connected to the negative side. You want to make sure that's completely clear. And then this battery, they were nice and they left the plastic terminal covers on. So we're going to take that plastic cover, I'm going to pull that right over top of the mounting stud, and now the entire negative side of the battery is isolated. So there's no chance, even if you touched the positive side to ground, there's no chance of anything bad happening. So now what I need to do here is remove the wires from the charge controller. When I put these old wires on, I didn't have the right ring terminals in stock, and the ones I used for the solar panel side were way too big, and they didn't fit properly in between the barrier strip. So I want to take all these off, and I'm actually removing the screw completely out of the charge controller. Quickly pulling screws out, taking the wires off, and I'm yanking away. So now that I've got the wires out, I need to snip off the old connectors, since they do not fit. So I'm going to just cut them close, and then those can go in the trash. They're not reusable. And now what I'm trying to do is, you want to strip off just enough insulation so that the wire, when you put it into the ring connector, the wire will poke out just a little bit beyond the end of the barrel. And you'll see what I mean in just a second here. And also, when you're doing ring terminals, you twist your wire strands together. You saw me twisting them there. Now I'm going to take the ring terminal, and I'm making sure that it's the right one. And now I'm going to insert the wire into the barrel, And if you twist it in the same direction that you twisted your strands, it keeps them from fraying. Now if you look real close, you'll see that there's just a little bit of wire poking out from the end of the barrel, and that's what you want. That helps prevent the wire from ever pulling back through. And then we're going to use the crimp tool, and since this is a number 10 wire and a number 10 barrel, we're using the number 10 slot in the crimpers. Okay, something to note about these, or any ring connectors, butt connectors, whatever. If you crimp that and it doesn't hold the first time, or it appears to be loose, unless you crimp it again in exactly the same spot, it's going to fail. So do not try to crimp it from another angle, or crimp it, like crimp it from the side, turn your crimpers 90 degrees and crimp it again. That's just going to make it fail. So they're a one-time crimp. Any more than that, and forget it. They don't work that way. If that happens and it doesn't hold, throw it out, put on a new one. And here we're just doing the next one. Same exact thing. Wires poking out a little bit from the end. And then we're going to use the number 10 slot on the crimp tool to squeeze down on this. And I'm giving it a pretty good crunch. It's you have to squeeze down really hard to make sure it holds. And then I always pull on them and make sure that they don't pull off. And I can't tell you how many times I've done it and had the crimper, or the crimp connector, just fall right off. So then it has to be redone. Okay, now I'm just taking one of the screws and reattaching the connector to the charge controller, and it fits perfectly. Tighten down on it real good, and this is working out exactly the way it's supposed to. So we're just going to finish screwing these in, and then these are the solar panel connectors, and then when we're done with these, we'll move on to the battery terminal connectors. Now we're moving on to the battery terminal connectors, and because I had originally just shoved the wires into under the screws of the charge controller, the amount of insulation I stripped off was too much. So what I'm doing here is I'm just snipping off a little bit of the extra wire, because I don't need all that wire poking out. So once I have that done, then I can retwist, make sure there's no loose strands, and then we will gently twist the barrel of the ring connector onto the wire. It's also important to note that the reason that I'm carefully twisting that on is I want to make sure that there's no loose wire strands that fold back and stick out the back end of the ring connector, because then you have essentially a bare wire hanging out. Usually you'll see it. It's easy to see. You'll know when it happens. So now I'm just going to finish crimping this. Now what I'm doing is I'm just getting the insulated boot to go over top of the connectors, and that's just trying to fiddle with it to get it to fit properly. The holes where the wires go through are a little bit smaller than the ring connector barrels, so it's just I just had to push them on a little bit. So that's essentially done, and now I'm going to work on mounting the controller to the inside of the box. There we go. I think my wireless mic may have died while I was doing that. I sure hope not. Anyway, what I'm going to do here, I've decided I'm going to mount this on the inside here. So what I want to do here is I'm just lining this up on the outside because I need to drill it. Well, I thought I needed to drill it from the outside, but then I kind of changed my mind. There's a lip at the top, and I needed to make sure that the controller would fit underneath that lip. Because if I didn't mount it in the right place, that just wasn't going to work. So anyway, just checking this, make sure the drill's the right size. And then I changed my mind and I said, you know what, let me put this on the inside of the box. I can still get the drill in there and do the work. And I just needed to make sure that the controller was underneath that lip. So now I'm just going to get a hole drilled into the box. We're going to do one hole at a time. I'm just marking it and get the controller out of the way, and then I'll finish drilling. So here I'm just getting the my nut screws and washers together, and we're going to put that right into the side of the box and push that through. We're going to put a washer and a lock washer on the other side, and then just lightly tighten down on that. Now that I have one of the screws holding the controller on, I will mark and drill the next hole. And that way, if I do one hole at a time, it makes sure that I'm getting the hole in exactly the right place. And I'm only using 2 screws. There's no reason to drill holes for all 4 screws. Just, it's not under any strain or anything, so it's not going to go anyplace. So we're just going to get that last hole drilled, and then put the last screw in, and we're done. My microphone died, so I had a whole bunch of audio with no sound, or a whole bunch of video with no sound. And now my battery's going to die. So, lastly, we're going to reconnect the battery. So we're going to pull this cap off. Pull the cap off. There we go. Okay. Now we need to find all the power negative connectors here. Got a bunch of wires. Let's do this first. So this is the main cable that goes to the hydraulic motor. So we're going to put that on first. The next one, it doesn't really matter because the rest of them are small, but the heavier one, I like to have that down. Actually, put the heaviest ones down first. So that one there, that one there, and that one there. And then somewhere is the other one of these. All right, so this is the battery, the charge controller battery terminal. So let's get that down next. Put that there, and this, and this, and then we need our nut. See this right here. Get that on. And we'll get that all tightened down happy. That's a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to use a socket. Okay, that's nice and snug. Everything else looks good. I'm looking at my battery charge controller. I can still see it. I can reconnect the solar panel connectors. So now we're going to look at the battery charge controller. Get up close here. See what we can see. 21.9 volts. Let's go through that again. So there's the battery voltage. There's the solar panel voltage. And that's how many amps is being drawn from the solar panel. So it's just trickle charging the battery right now. Okay, anyway, that's it. Connectors replaced, charge controller mounted. It is no longer flopping around inside the box here. So I'm happy with that. Done. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I apologize for the little audio mishap. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, etc. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.